they would not fund his research into prevention, funnily enough. And that is where he teamed up with Jerry Brasfield, the founder of Neolife, and we started funding his research into prevention. And he put a team of scientists together, which is now known as our scientific advisory board. And they produce nutrition that is exceptional. And I'm just going to try, we don't have much time, but I'm going to try and give you a little snapshot and highlight into what goes into our products. Now, before I do that, my question to you is, do you think there is a need for nutrition and supplementation? And what I know is, I truly believe that we have been given magnificent bodies, and our bodies are designed to, when we feed our bodies with good nutrition, we are designed to live with health and vitality. When we are healthy, I know we can serve our families better, we can serve our church better, we can serve our community better, we are more effective in our career. But so often it takes somebody to get sick before they realize the real benefit of great health. And, my message to most people is, don't wait for that sledgehammer to hit you over the back of the head before you pay attention to your health. Prevention is far better than any cure is ever going to be. However, we're living in this world with more science, more technology, more pharmaceutical medication today than ever before. So the question I want to ask you is, why are so many people still so sick? And I don't know if you've thought of that, and we talk about heart disease, cancer, diabetes. We all know people that have these challenges, and these chronic diseases are growing faster today than ever before. These chronic diseases are non-communicable, which means that they're not contagious. So we don't pass them around like the common cold or flus, we develop them, okay? Which I find that quite exciting, because if we are developing these diseases, we can play some sort of role in preventing these diseases. And just take coronavirus, COVID-19. Right now, if the stats are correct, and I am skeptical a little bit, coronavirus is killing approximately 116,000 people globally per month, okay? In 2017, so the stats are even greater now, but heart disease alone, so I'm not factoring in cancer and diabetes and the rest of them, heart disease alone every month kills approximately 1.5 million people a month globally. That's 1.3 million people more than COVID-19. Okay, so we're living in this chronic disease pandemic, and it's forecasted over the next 10 years, it's going to grow by 10%, with the biggest growth coming out of Africa at 20%. So if we think it's bad now, we are only just starting. So, we really, our message isn't a message of we're going to cure all these diseases. Our message to people is, don't eat junk and take our products and think you're going to be okay. Eat as intentionally as you possibly can, but I'm going to show you, because of our lifestyles, because of our modern day diets, we have these nutrition gaps. And Neolife wants to help people plug these nutrition gaps, because our bodies are designed to live with health and vitality, providing we give our bodies the right nutrition. Okay, so I hope that's making sense to everybody. But just another interesting stat that came out last year from the Health Institute in Seattle. And they came out with a big, hard-hitting statement that kind of hit me square between the eyeballs. They said that a bad diet is 3 times more dangerous than smoking. Can I get that? 3 times more dangerous than smoking. How they quantified that is smoking is killing about 5 million people globally every year. Okay, a bad diet is killing up to 15 million people every year. And so the stuff that we're putting into our breakfast bowl, into our kids' lunch boxes, onto our dinner plates, 3 times more dangerous than smoking. And they go on to say that it's not only the bad things that we're eating, the bad sugars and the bad fats, but it's a lack of the good things. And the 3 main reasons for diet-related deaths: number 1, a lack of whole grain foods; number 2, a lack of fruits and vegetables; and number 3, a lack of omega-3 oils. Okay, so those are the key things. So I'm going to share my screen with you so I can try and communicate it to you with some pictures. I really believe in the power of pictures. So we all start life in this energetic zone, And for those of you who have kids, you know, they live in the energetic zone. I've got 3 of them. It's fantastic, but they're high energy. And for this first 30 years of our life, we kind of live in this energetic zone. The next 30 years of our life, we kind of bumble through this tired zone. And the final 30 years of our life, we kind of expected to live in the 6 zone. And I look at this graph and I think it's depressing. There's no ways I'm going to buy into this, because there's no ways I'm going to work for 30, 40 years of my life to live out my golden years in this 6 zone. And we said so often, you know, I know it happened with my grandfather, one of the hardest working men ever to walk this planet. And he put everything into his retirement, and he built this spectacular little holiday home down the South Coast. 2 months before he retired, he was dead. And so many people work, spend their entire life working, and they spend everything they've accumulated just trying to stay alive. And so what our message to you is, there is such a thing as living life in this energetic zone, and there is such a thing as dying healthy. And my motivation as a parent is, this is what it means to be able to surf and play golf and to do all those fun things with your grandkids one day. But that journey doesn't start in 10 or 15 years' time. The journey to good nutrition is a long-term journey. It starts today. And the sad thing is, we're seeing these chronic diseases happen at a younger and younger age. And so, yes, we have a lot of people come to us with these chronic diseases and say, help us. And we do help a lot of people. But it's risky. And I don't actually like to talk about cure, because we get into a lot of trouble. As a nutrition company, we can't claim to cure anything. So yes, we have a lot of amazing stories, but yeah, the people that I can see on my screen look like healthy, active people. And that is how we need to stay, is healthy and active. And I like to talk to people that are in this tired zone. You're not sick, but maybe you're living life with a little bit less energy. Maybe you are not working out as much as you should. Maybe you're eating not as well as you should be. And it's often in this stage of our life, we get these little warning signs where we have, maybe we're carrying a little bit too much weight, or maybe their blood pressure is a little bit high and we're living life with a little bit too much stress. I know jobs can be stressful. I know finances can be stressful. I know wives can be stressful at times, right? And husbands sometimes, maybe. But and it's in this zone that we have these little warning signs that are kind of precursors to what is coming up next. But I want to just show you how you can give your body what it needs so that you can get back into this energetic zone. And it kind of all starts with your diet. This is what it's called, the food triangle. We all need a bit of physical activity going on a daily and weekly basis. We all need to watch our weight, but our diet should consist mainly of whole grain foods, followed by fruits and vegetables. Proteins and fats and sugars should be consumed the least. But what we've done in all of our wisdom and our modern day food processing is we've kind of just turned that on its head. Our modern day diets consist more of fats and sugars. We don't eat enough good protein, clean protein. We are not eating enough fruits and vegetables, and whole grain oils are barely being consumed. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly walk us up this this triangle. Why are whole grain oils so important? Now, whole grain oils, we've got to remember, they've been a staple of the human food chain since the very beginning. Okay, human beings have had a base of whole grain foods in their diets since the very beginning. And why are whole grain oils so important? Our bodies are made up of trillions and trillions of cells. Okay, little cells, from your skin cells to your heart cells to your blood cells. We are just a bunch of cells stuck together. At conception, a single cell splits into two cells makes four cells make 8. That is how our baby grows. Anybody with kids right now, kids under the age of 10 are producing about 1 billion new cells every 24 hours. Okay, and so we are really only as healthy as our cells. And every one of our cells has this little membrane, this dark green bit over here. And this membrane consists of oils, which we get from our grain foods. So we eat grain foods, our bodies, and I'm not talking about the carbohydrate aspect of the grain food or the gluten. I'm talking about the grain oils, the lipids and sterol oils. They're known as good fats. So these good fats are gravitate and are absorbed and live in our cell membranes. And they're good fats because they keep the cell membrane nice and soft and permeable. So when we eat food, our bodies absorb the nutrients, and our blood system transports this the nutrients around our bodies to all 72 trillion cells. And those nutrients can be absorbed through that cell membrane. They're converted into energy. There's a byproduct, like a little factory, toxins are produced, and the toxins can be eliminated from the cell. Okay, so that's in the most basic form how cellular nutrition works. But what's going on is our diets, we're not getting enough of those grain oils. Okay, now let's use a loaf of bread as an example. And I don't know, some of you might not be old enough on this call, but I know when I was a kid, a loaf of bread would go moldy in about 2 or 3 days. I don't know if you remember that. Now let's take a loaf of bread now. When last did you see a really moldy, green, fluffy, hairy loaf of bread? Probably not recently. Why? Because the food companies have invented something called modern day milling, and they take out all these good grain oils, all these lipids and sterols they take out of our foods. Think of a bag of rice. You know, rice can sit in your grocery cupboard for weeks, months. You boil that stuff up for 10 or 15 minutes and you got food. It doesn't go rancid anymore. Why? Because they take these grain oils out of our grain foods. And they do it for a very specific reason, because we're not living in this little community where we grow our grain foods and grow our fruits and vegetables locally and we eat them within the week. We're living in this global community. They have to extend the shelf life of their foods, and they do it for a number of reasons. But one of the core reasons is to extend the shelf life. So they just remove those grain oils. Okay. Now, so our bodies go, no problem. We need that fat. And so our bodies go to the next available source of fats. And our bodies are, our diets are abundant in fats. Our modern day diets, all of our processed foods normally have these processed fats in these foods. Let's just use a piece of meat for an example. Cook a steak or a chop on a pan, leave that pan out overnight. What happens to that fat? It solidifies. It's not a dynamic fat. So that fat goes hard, white, and now we have all these bad fats living in the cell membrane, and the same thing happens. These undynamic fats kind of solidify, and this cell membrane becomes unhealthy, and then the nutrients that get transported around the body are not effectively getting into the cell. The toxins are not effectively getting out of the cell. And so the first thing that happens is we stop processing nutrients efficiently, and we start to feel a little bit tired and lethargic, okay, because we stop processing nutrients. The next thing that happens is these toxins build up in the cell, and these toxins compromise the health and the integrity of that cell, and that cell becomes a sick cell. So that sick cell will produce another sick cell. Now you got 2. Hey, you don't even notice it, but 2 will make 4, will make 8, and that will translate into something a little bit more sinister, possibly a chronic disease. And so the first product I want to talk to you about is the Trenin grain oils. Neolife is the first, and still to this day, the only company that produces a pure whole grain oil supplement. Okay, our scientists identified this deficiency in the modern day diet decades ago and produced this product. To make this little bottle of Trenin, the 120 capsules, we use 58 kilograms of raw organic grain foods. Okay, organic being the key word here. We take these grain foods, we extract these good oils in a nitrogen environment, we put them into a capsule, and so you can plug this dietary gap. Okay, because I know it doesn't matter how good you're eating, if you're not growing your own grain foods and milling them yourself, you are deficient in grain oils. And so what does Trenin do for you? It does a lot of things, because when you get your cells working right, that's where the magic happens. First of all, it will more than double your nutrient utilization efficiency. So if you're eating a healthy diet as it is, this product will more than double the amount of nutrition that you're going to absorb. That means you're going to boost your immunity, or boost your energy. It's going to help your body detox. It's going to help your glandular activity, which is going to get your hormonal system working correctly. So there's so many positive knock-on effects. The next thing is our fruits and vegetables. I don't know how many you ate today. When I was growing up, they would say 5 a day, keep the doctor away. That's old science. The latest nutrition science is saying that we should be eating about 12 to 14 portions a day. Now, I don't eat that. I don't know anybody who does. And why has it gone from 5 to 12 to 14? Because what we are doing to our fruits and vegetables is borderline criminal. We are growing them in soils that are not are no longer fertile. We are speeding up the process. We are picking them before they are ripe, before they are mature nutritionally. We are cold storing them. And so you just got to eat more to get the same amount of nutrition as our grandparents used to get from 5. But the reality is we're eating less. And so why are fruits and vegetables so important? They protect our bodies against free radicals. Okay, so they protect your cell membrane. So there's 2 great evils going on in the body. Number 1 is oxidization, and then number 2 is inflammation. Every single chronic disease, from cancer to heart disease, is caused by either oxidization or inflammation. Fruits and vegetables prevent oxidization. Okay, they also boost your immunity. Now, your immunity is your first line of defense, not only against the common cold and flu, but against cancer and against the coronavirus. Now, coronavirus, it's a virus. You're probably going to get it at some point. And to this day, they haven't kind of come up with a proper vaccine to it. But if your immunity is strong enough, within 32 minutes of contracting a virus, your immunity will get to work building antibodies, providing it is working properly. Okay, so your immunity is incredibly important. So we've come up with a product called Carotenoid Complex. Okay, Carotenoid Complex is a pure fruit and vegetable supplement. To make this little bottle of 90 capsules, we use 115 kilograms of fruits and vegetables goes into every bottle. We source our strawberries in California. California has the richest supply of organic strawberries anywhere in the world. We source our carrots in France. Our spinach comes from Spain. Our tomatoes come from Portugal. These ingredients are taken to a little country called Slovenia. It's the only patented facility in the world that can extract all these carotenoid nutrients in a pharmaceutical grade environment. And so in the human food chain, science has discovered 600 carotenoids or antioxidants. Okay. And so our philosophy as a company is based in nature, backed by science. So if nature says there's 600 carotenoids, we aren't going to cut corners. We're going to give you a product that is basically uses nature as the blueprint. Now, when we came up with this technology and produced this product and took it to market, we presented it to the scientific community. An organization called the United States Department of Agriculture, which is a US governmental organization, said to us, impossible, hasn't been done. First of all, do not take this product to market until we verify your claim. And so they went off and they tested this product for a couple of months, and they came back to us and said, yes, your product actually does have all 600 carotenoids guaranteed in every capsule, which we already knew. But now this is their research, not ours. They came back and said, and our studies also prove that your product will boost the human immune function by 37% in just 20 days. Now, there's no other product on the planet that can make that claim, scientifically, independently proven. And so I just think this is one of the greatest products we have right now. Going through this pandemic is just boost your immunity. But these are more than just boosting your immunity. These are your cancer fighters. These are your protectors. These are your heart protectors, your brain protectors. And the bottom line is, if you're not getting your 10 to 12 portions of, or 12 to 14 portions of fruits and vegetables today, you're not even going to notice it. In 2 or 3 or 5 years' time, you're not even going to notice it. But the reality is, without these protective nutrients over 10, 15, 20 years, that is where the compound effect comes into play. And that is where you run into a problem. And so the simple thing is, just get onto these products now while you can and plug those dietary gaps. Don't stop eating fruits and vegetables. Keep eating your fruits and vegetables as much as possible. But I know you're still going to have that gap. And the only way I know how to plug that gap is with carotenoid. Let's take protein. Your body is made up of water and protein. And every protein molecule is made up of 22 amino acids. So every function that goes on in your body right now needs protein to work. I can see some load shedding is happening in the background. I hope you're staying with us. And so we produced a protein. What is different with our protein? Our protein is the only protein you're going to find on the market that has all 22 amino acids. Why is that important? Think of amino acids. So every protein molecule has amino acids. Think of amino acids like an alphabet. You have 26 letters. Let's take 10 letters out of the alphabet. How many words will you never be able to spell? It's the same with amino acids. So based on our philosophy of based nature backed by science, we produced a protein that has all 22 amino acids. This protein here, Neolife Shake, it's part of our weight management program. It works exceptionally well. It helps you lose weight by maintaining your blood sugar levels. When you maintain your blood sugar levels, your body burns fat for energy. Fat is a great source of energy. So it's a very effective weight management program. I know I lost 8 kilograms on this program, but I use it as my maintenance program. I use it every day. I have this Neolife Shake for breakfast. It is the most wonderful meal replacement. Not only does it taste great, but I would challenge anybody to give me a plate of food that had the same amount of nutrition as one glass of one shake, one Neolife Shake has in it. From all the vitamins and minerals to all the fiber of a very healthy meal to all 22 amino acids. Now, protein, I really don't like the protein market because it's a real hyped up kind of thing, you know, and you see all these big tubs of protein and bulk up, and we're not trying to be that. We're really not trying to be that. We are trying to be a meal replacement with this product, okay? And protein is actually not a very easily digestible thing. And we have a good protein digestibility score is 1. Okay, so they have a way they measure the protein digestibility score. And if you're taking any other proteins, I challenge you to go and ask that company, what is their protein digestibility score? Most companies aren't able to tell you because they don't even test it. We have a protein digestibility score of 1.75, which is exceptionally high. We have other proteins like our sports protein. Our sports protein is our whey-based protein, and that is more our protein targeting our athletes and the muscle growth and muscle recovery. So you just got to pick what is your need and choose your protein accordingly. And then finally, your fats and sugars. So our message is eat less bad fats and eat less sugars. That's very important. But there's another fat that I really feel I need to talk about, and that is omega-3. Okay, and this isn't a bad fat. This is a very, very good fat. Omega-3 is great it's the all-rounder for your brain. If you want to remember your husband's name one day or your wife's name, take omega-3. It's good for your heart. It's good for your blood. It's good for your joints. If you love your husband, make sure he's taking omega-3 because it's good for his prostate. It's just great for everything, including inflammation. Okay, omega-3 is the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory you're going to find. And why is that important? Because going back to the chronic diseases, inflammation is the biggest cause of cancer right now, hands down. And so we got this chronic inflammation challenge going on. And I'm not going to get into it. Maybe Shelley, in one of the trainings, we can specifically talk about omega-3. We can talk about omega-3 for 15, 20 minutes on its own. But the point I want to make here is why our omega-3? Okay, we are the only company on the planet that does a complete whole grain oil supplement. We're the only company on the planet that does a complete antioxidant carotenoid supplement. We're the only company that I've come across that does a complete protein supplement with all 22 amino acids. But you know what? Next time you go to a Dis-Chem or Clicks or supermarket, go and have a look at the supplement aisle, and you're going to see hundreds, if not thousands, of omega-3s. And it's just such a confusing place to be. So why our omega-3? Okay, number one, our omega-3 is the only omega-3 on the planet that has all 8 omega-3 molecules. Now, we were in fact the first nutrition company to produce omega-3. Decades ago, we identified the benefits of omega-3 and produced an omega-3. And back then, science only discovered two of the omega-3 molecules, the EPA and the DHA. Good for your brain, good for your heart. But science has moved on, and science has discovered there's another 6 of these molecules, making up 8 omega-3 molecules. What science has also discovered is these molecules work in a chain reaction. So if you want to absorb omega-3, you need all 8 of these molecules. If you're missing one, the absorption process breaks down. Okay, so this is science that is available to every nutrition company out there. But right now, we are the only nutrition company on the planet that produces an omega-3 that contains all 8 omega-3 family members. Because your body cannot produce omega-3, you've got to be eating it. So if you're not eating 3 to 4 portions of tuna, mackerel, salmon, or anchovies every week, you need to be supplementing with omega-3. Okay, so number one, we're the only complete omega-3 in the market. Number two, our omega-3 is completely pure. We use tuna, mackerel, salmon, and anchovies. They're fresh water fish. We don't use farm fish, but we can give you the genetic code of every fish we use. Okay, why is that important? It's important because when we know the genetic code, we know what that fish has been eating. When we know what the fish have been eating, we can get a good idea of whereabouts in the ocean these fish have been swimming. And we only use fish from certain parts of the ocean that are proven to be the least polluted parts of the ocean. We then take these fish, which are disease-free. We take the fillet of the fish, okay, which is quite unique because most companies mash up the entire fish and then extract the oil. We only take the fillet of the fish, we cold press that fillet, and we extract that oil, which is omega-3 oil. We then take that oil and we test for over 200 contaminants for things like mercury and lead and all those other things. And we have a tolerance of 0. So if we detect any of those 200 contaminants, we destroy the entire batch. Now, the nutrition industry says that a nutrition company needs to test for 96 contaminants. And we're saying, what about the other 104 that you should not be putting in your body? Okay, so it's very, very potent. It's very, very pure. And it is the only product to contain all the 8 omega-3 family members. So that kind of comes into a product called ProVitality. And this is my favorite product in the range because I love to keep things simple. If it's simple, it's duplicatable. It can be repeated easily. And in this box of ProVitality, there are 30 sachets. And in every sachet, you get 4 vitamins. The first vitamin is your TrueNN, your grain oils, okay, to get your cells working correctly. The second one is your carotenoid, your fruits and vegetables, to boost your immunity, to protect you against oxidization, your cancer fighter. The third one is omega-3, to keep your brain lacquer and your prostate and your joints and to fight inflammation. And then the fourth one is the multivitamin, which is all your vitamins and minerals. And so most people say, okay, well, I've got to be supplementing. So they go and they just buy a multivitamin. Okay, they're missing out on this. You know, they just get the multivitamin, but they're missing out on all the rest. Or they just buy an omega-3 because they know omega-3 is good. Or they just buy a vitamin C for the immunity, but they miss out on all the other antioxidants. So this is the most complete, powerful, potent box of supplements, supplement box you're going to find. And I love it because it's convenient. You can keep that in your drawer at work, or you can pop it in your handbag or your man bag, or you have your breakfast and have that. And I always recommend people add a shake to that. And so that's how I start every day, is I have my shake. That is my breakfast. It makes me feel great. It gives me energy until lunchtime. And I have my ProVitality. And I just know that I'm ticking the box. I don't only have that. My wife has it, and my 3 kids who have been having that since the age of 4. And I just think it's just the most complete peace of mind. I'm giving my body, I know my body has the nutrition so it can do what it has to do. Now we know that, okay, there's many other ranges which I'm not even going to talk about. And if the ProVitality isn't in your nutrition budget, then you can scale that down and just get the TrueNN and the omega-3, or just get the carotenoid, or get what works for you. But I know that right now in the USA, 77% of people are taking a supplement. That's a lot of people. My question is, if so many people are taking a supplement, why are they still so sick? In South Africa, that number is 48%. Okay, and so still it's more than I thought actually, but it's nearly 50% of the population in South Africa are going into a pharmacy or supermarket and buying a supplement. Over the next 2 to 3 years, we are going to see that grow from 48% to 77% and beyond. So it's a rapidly growing industry, but it's an industry that is very, very hyped up. It's built on a lot of misinformation, a lot of fads, a lot of nothingness. And and you go into a supermarket and you look at the supplement aisle, and there's just rows and rows of supplements, and people are purchasing them. They most definitely are purchasing them, but they're buying either on price, what's on special, or if they like my wife, they're going to buy whatever is the shiniest and looks the best. But they're not necessarily buying something that is going to work for them. And so we want to be the change in this trend, and we want to become, if you're a guest on this call, we would like to become your nutrition home, a place where you can come. I've thrown information at you right now. I don't expect you to remember it all, but a place where you can come and get your questions answered that is based in nutrition science. I'm not the expert. You might ask me questions, or ask Shelley or Jill or Henri or Bridget, or ask people questions and they don't know the answers to those questions, and that's okay. But we can get those answers to you. We can get to our scientific advisory board and get the answers for you, and get you nutrition that is going to work for you and your family. And I just believe it's one of the greatest investments you can make right now. And so, are there any questions? I can see one's come in on the chat. Is there any alternate omega-3 that isn't fish based for allergies? From Wendy. Wendy, is a good question. So I'm guessing there's an allergy to fish. And often that's an ammonia allergy. If it's fish, it might not be, but that's very often the case. So we know fish gives us the most potent form of omega-3. A lot of the other sources of omega-3 will also contain omega-6. And we try and avoid omega-6 because we are getting a lot of omega-6 in our diet. And that is causing a lot of inflammation. We're getting an excess of omega-3 in the one-day diet. So right now, we only focus on omega-3, but I'd like to talk to you further about that allergy, because I'll just tell you in my experience, what has happened is I have had people that have been allergic to fish take our omega-3 and be okay, because it doesn't have the ammonia aspect. We use something which we call molecular differentiation, where we are able to go into that fish and that oil, and we are able to basically separate the different molecules and only use the molecules that we need, okay, that contain all the nutrition. So for instance, our omega-3, okay, it's going to smell like fish, but it's not a hectic fishy smell like a lot of the other omega-3s, because we are able to isolate that stinky molecule. It has no nutritional value, and we'll be able to isolate it and not include it in our oil, which allows us to put more of the good stuff, oil, into a capsule. So therefore, it kind of does often eliminate the allergy factor. But on the other hand, we've helped people get their gut right. And a lot of allergies come from the gut. And by getting their gut right, we have been able to help people, many people, overcome the allergies. So I know that doesn't totally answer your question, but I'd like to talk to you individually, or talk to Shelley or whoever got you onto the call, and we can talk further about that and see where we can help you. Any other questions? Who's that for? Henri, is a shake gluten-free? I think it is. Is that shake gluten-free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
We'll take that as a yes. Anything else?
It is.
Great. You know, and the other thing, talking about gluten, you'll see in a lot of our marketing material, our Train-In is marketed as gluten-free, which it pretty much is. But you'll see we've had to comply with new labeling regulations. Okay, so when you make nutrition in South Africa, you can slap it into a bottle and you can get it out there, but we have the same regulations as medicine when we import our products. And we've had to put on our bottle, may contain gluten. Okay, it's like walking to a restaurant, and a restaurant might say, hey, listen, there have been nuts through this restaurant at some point. So you're going to see a slight adjustment in our training labeling that will say might contain gluten, but we have got people with gluten allergies that take it no problem, because we say it doesn't, but we've had to comply with labeling. Shelley?
Yeah. Charles, I've also got something I'd like to just ask, if that's okay. It's Kerry.
Hello, Kerry. You still with us?
So, yeah, I am in the dark completely. Sorry, power cuts. But yeah, so I know that a couple of people that I've also spoken to are interested in knowing how long, till you start to feel the effects of the vitamins and the Pro Vitality as well as the shakes. So I'm sure you've got an answer to that. First of all, there's no quick fix. It's not, it's not an overnight thing. We know this is going to take some time. But just personally, my husband has been on it for 5 weeks. And within the first week, he was going off the walls. He had to go out and run. He was almost immediate. He had so much energy from the training. And then certainly on the shakes, I mean, he was taking them in the morning for breakfast, and he lasts until 2, 3 in the afternoon before he even starts to feel hungry. So again, I suppose the effects of health, but also energy versus, the ability to exercise, and then also weight wise, am I going to start to see those? What are the sort of general responses to that?
It's a great question, and it is quite a difficult one to answer because it varies from person to person. And I know we are not medicine, so it's often not an instantaneous thing.
Yeah.
But I do know, like your husband, I've had people take Train-In or Pro Vitality in the morning and phone me in the afternoon saying, "What did you give me? This is amazing." And some people after a month, you have phone them and they've said, "No, well, I still feel the same." And it all depends on your body and where your body is nutritionally, and bodies react differently. And I think the important part here is, with my customers, with my distributors, I like to make sure that I give them a good understanding of what the nutrition is doing for them. Because for me, I've been taking nutrition since I was a kid. So I take my nutrition every morning, and I know how I feel. I feel great. I don't not take it, so I don't know if I'd not feel great, but it doesn't make me feel any different. But I take it because I know what the long-term benefits are. And so I really want to get people taking it, not just for immediate gratification, but for taking it for the long-term gain, which is very, very important. But in saying that, it's very important that when we get customers onto this product or distributors onto this product, we do work with them over the first 3, 4, 5 days, first month. And because I've had people that have said to me a number of times, "No, I don't feel anything. I feel fine, no different." And then when I really have dug through it, they've come up and said, "Actually, I've been struggling with my blood sugar levels for years. I've managed it with medication at a certain level, but for the first time in 6 years, my blood sugar levels are normal. The only thing I've done differently is take our product." So yes, there has been a difference. So they hadn't really felt the huge difference, but it showed up in their numbers. And so it's not a one size fits all. And that's why I believe in great customer service and following up with people and working with them to make sure that they have, I don't want somebody just taking the product. I want them to have an exceptional nutrition or product experience, because they're taking it for a reason. And I want to make sure that we help them achieve that reason, whatever it is. And that takes work.
Thanks.
I've had people who they don't feel a major difference when they're on the product, but as soon as they stop it, that's when they feel that it was making a difference.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Drew, there was another question as well about can you differentiate between the Neolife shake and the sports protein shake?
Yes, they're both awesome. Again, it comes down to what is the reason for you taking it. So for me, I always have the sports protein in my home for when I really am. Right now I tore a ligament in my knee doing something silly, so I'm not working out that much. I'm not that active, so I'm not really taking the sports protein. But for me, I just found the Neolife shake was really, that's what made me feel the best as a meal replacement for my breakfast. What is the difference is the Neolife shake is soy based. Okay. It's a complete protein, 22 amino acids. It focuses on the branched chain amino acids, which get to work on the muscle. It has a very high vitamin and mineral count, and a high fiber count. Okay, now on the other hand, the sports protein is a whey-based protein. Okay, and some people, athletes, prefer the whey-based protein because the whey-based protein, there's quite a lot of people are after whey-based protein, but it has an even more bigger focus on muscle, targeting muscle, the short chain or branched chain amino acids. It's a complete protein with all 22 amino acids, but it has an increased short or branched chain amino acids, which will get to work on your muscles for building and recovering and renewing, protecting. It also has a very high vitamin and mineral count, and it has fiber. So there's not a huge difference other than the sports having an even increased focus on muscle and being whey versus soy protein. And then the Neolife shake comes in strawberry or berries and cream, chocolate and vanilla. And those flavors, I just, especially the chocolate and vanilla, I can't get enough of. I take my chocolate and I throw in some cocoa. I throw in a few almonds, and like I really get to town on it. I take my vanilla, I'll throw in some cinnamon and some almonds, and I make it into a smoothie, and I have a lot of fun with it. Whereas the sports protein, I find the flavor a little bit more bland, but then some people prefer it.
So Drew, if I can add to that as well. Mm-hmm. I know I've had people on it who did the Sani to see, and they reckon that sports protein shake saved them completely after the day. They'd take it when they got back after the day's riding, and it really made a tremendous difference to them. And then a guy in Knysna who is pedantic about what he puts in his body, and he has had amazing results with the sports protein shake, and he said he's never felt such quick recovery on his muscles with the sports protein shake. And I know for myself as well, when I've had a tough ride and I take that shake, my recovery is much, much quicker than it would usually be.
Yeah. So if it's sports-based and real high intensity, I think the sports protein is probably the better option. And I've just, I have 2 Olympic swimmers in my team, and they grew up on the NutriShake, which is one of our original protein. They moved across to the Neolife shake, and then I got them to try the sports protein last month, and their feedback was their recovery was quicker for the next training session. So when it comes to sports, I'd say go with the sports protein.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Jubilee.
So I have a friend who's a dietitian, and she was saying that it's not a good idea to take supplements if you're not sure what you're actually lacking. Like she was saying, it would be better to actually go to a doctor and see like where there are gaps in your nutrition. So I was wondering, how do you talk to somebody about that? Because I don't know, I just look at food and I think like, how are we actually getting enough nutrition,
Look, there's always been a kind of 2 sides to things where, the nutrition companies and a lot of the scientific community have said, listen, you're not getting enough from your food. You need to supplement. And then on the other side of the fence, we've had a lot of nutritionists, this around the world saying, you can get everything you need from your food. It's no problem. You can get everything you need from your food. And this side, one by one, they're coming across to this side. And one of the biggest fighters for this side his name was Andrew something or other. And, 2 years ago, he said, actually, I concede. People are not getting enough from their food. But I just think it comes down to, look at chronic disease. Our foods and our lack of good things and good nutrition and our increase in taking on too many bad foods is the #1 cause of all chronic disease. Okay, and that can be fixed through good nutrition and eating right and taking supplements. And so I agree with with her to a certain extent, know what you're deficient in. But I just don't think it's a sustainable way to get everybody to go and have a study and say, okay, well, I'm lacking in vitamin D. I think it's a good thing to do, but I want to have a solution for everybody. And we just take that food triangle. Yes.
Can I interrupt? Sorry, man. Do you know, so for me, it might fit some people, but for me personally, I've had a health journey for over 20 years. And every blood test I had, and I've had all the tests for all the nutrients and what have you to see what I was lacking. And I never lacked a single thing. I always was, my vitamins and minerals and nutrients were always spot on. But I felt terrible for a long time. I actually had some serious health issues. And when I started taking Nearlife, obviously that's how I got involved. It had such a tremendous effect on me. So for me, sometimes the nutrients, I just think that I wasn't feeding my body correctly. So that is a personal experience, but I think not. And I've had a few people say that to me where they've been for all the blood tests and everything's fine. So it's not always a true reflection for me personally.
Everything fine and you have a heart attack at the age of 39. Everything's not fine, but it's flagging up as fine. And I think that speaks back to what I was talking about is you just have to look at that food triangle. And I can guarantee you 99% of people are not eating according to that food triangle, right? And if you're not eating according to that food triangle, Pro-Vitality is your answer. And I think the big difference with our nutrition is it's whole food. And so it's like eating food. There's no synthetics, there's no artificial ingredients. And so saying to somebody, you shouldn't take Nearlife supplements is saying to somebody like you shouldn't be eating. Our products are purely food-based supplements. There's no other things, it's not like you're taking an isolated nutrient here and there. We're giving you food. And that's why, you just throw the Pro-Vitality into your body, you're ticking all those boxes. And so I understand where she's coming from, but I don't agree with it because I look at the chronic disease rate and it comes down to diet. And there's a very easy way to plug those gaps without having to go and find all that all those tests and everything. And if there still is a problem, and that's why we have all of our targeted solutions. What I spoke to you about was our Pro-Vitality, but then we do have the vitamin B's and we do have the calciums and the added minerals and things for those situations. But for everybody else, take the Pro-Vitality and then you can add on.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think if, like from what you've told us about Pro-Vitality, it would make sense to get all the bases covered, and then if you still see there's something lacking somewhere else, you can always add to that.
Exactly, you said it best. Yeah.
But
that's it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing the fact that it is from food, and just also what you said about how much fruits and vegetables you actually have to eat, because of the quality of our food. It's amazing that you can just take a tablet that's got enough nutrients instead of eating like 15 different fruits in one day.
But say to your nutritionist or dietitian, we still say eat good food. And our message is never take our products over good food. And our product specialist Liz Geertz, she's a dietitian, she's a nutritionist, and she was with Nearlife for probably 15 years. And then she decided to leave Nearlife and go back into a practice, which was a dietitian and meeting with people. And she came back to Nearlife. And the reason why she came back is she says it's impossible to get people to eat all the foods they need to eat on a sustainable basis to give their bodies what they need. And that is the reason why she came back to Nearlife, because she said, I can teach people how to eat right, but I can give them a practical, sustainable solution to plug those dietary gaps. So I know there are guests on the call. This is turning into a little bit of a training, questions and answers. So I just thank you for sticking with us. And I hope it's of value to you guys. But Shirley, anything you want to add or any other questions from anybody?
Drew, I think you've covered exactly what we wanted you to cover. That from our side. Thank you. That was awesome.
Great.
I learn these every time. I've even learned tonight something new. So thank you for that.
Well, I was just thinking you must be so sick and tired of my voice, but thank you for that.
Never, ever.
And so I just want to thank our distributors that are on the call. I want to thank you for being part of this Near Life family. We're a nutrition company, yes, but we are so much more than that. We are doing this for a reason. Why do we do it? Because we have a desire and a mission to make this world a healthier and happier place. We don't believe people need to live a lifetime of sickness, and we believe we can be the change in that. And so as a Near Life community globally, we are as a company, we know that we can't achieve this mission on our own. That's going to be impossible, but we know as a global community, we can achieve this mission, one person at a time. And so I just want to thank our distributors for being part of that, for having the courage to go out and talk to other people about the product that you believe in, the product that you're using. The guests that are on the call, my wish for you is that this information has been of value. But like anything, information can bounce around your head. It does nothing. It's the way you implement this information. And I speak from the bottom of my heart. I know what these products have done for my family. I employed somebody. I started a new employee today at our distributor center in Durban, and I took her for coffee where I met with my parents who have been distributors for 46 years, who are well into their 70s. And leaving that meeting, she said to me, "So how old are your parents?" And I said, "Well, they're in their 70s. And she said, "Well, my parents are not even 60 yet, and they seem twice the age of your parents." I said, "Well, that's a benefit of long-term nutrition." And so I really believe what I've shared with you tonight, or what we've shared with you tonight, will add value to you, providing you implement it into your life. But I'm going to ask you to take it a step further. We don't want to be the world's best kept secret. We don't sell our products in retail stores. If you use these products and you get value from these products, I'm going to ask you to share these products with other people, or at least say, "Hey, listen, you need to talk to my friend Jill or Unri or Jubilee, or talk to my friend Shelly. They've got some information which is going to add value into your family, because I know that together we can end this trend of chronic disease and we can make this world a healthy and happy place." And we are very serious about that. And we got a lot of work to do. So thanks for having me, and thanks for inviting me onto the call, Shelly. I really appreciate it.
We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you, guys. We'll have a great Tuesday evening and a great first day of spring and a wonderful September.
Thanks.
Thank you, Drew.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, Shirley.
Bye.
Thanks for organizing.
Pleasure.
Ciao.
Bye.
Yes.